Ladies and gentlemen, the Festival of Lights is a wonderful season, and today I am so honored to be joined by one of the most premier vocalist groups, a cappella groups. Let me rephrase that. Jewish a cappella groups. And folks, if you didn't think there was a rabbit hole you could go down on YouTube for this, my oh my, you can. Joining me is Mike Boxer of 613. Mike, it is great to see you. Happy Hanukkah, sir.
Same to you.
This is incredible because your group 613 is one of the premier. I mean, absolutely. Just I was shocked at how many different groups I found, but the one that stood out, and it has stood out over the years, is your group 613. You arrange, you do these parodies. You've also written original music. You tour. You've performed in the White House. You've performed for Ruth Bader Ginsburg. You've performed literally all over the world. It's such a special and unique genre of music, if you will. Talk to me about how you started the group and also what the significance is behind the name 613.
Oh, sure. Well, we've lived through interesting times. I mean, back when we started the group, things were very, very different. There was no YouTube, and there wasn't much of an iTunes either. And we started as four guys in a dorm room. Honestly, for three buddies of mine and myself, met at Binghamton University, which we know as SUNY Binghamton. And one thing about Binghamton is that it is one of the most Jewish colleges in the United States. It's got a huge Jewish population, a burgeoning Jewish scene. So for those people who grew up with a really enriched Jewish background, it was a way to continue that. And for people who, maybe hadn't, quite had that on-ramp, we found it there. So one of the things that was there was Kas, which is the Jewish a cappella group there. It was a co-ed group, your typical thing that you see all over the United States. There's got to be about 30 or 40 of them now. 12, 13 people, co-ed, doing a mix of Jewish songs from, all different Jewish backgrounds. But the four of us, really kind of hit it off. There's, something about, four guys, the homophony of the sound and the tight harmonies. And so, we used to sing together, outside of rehearsal. And when we would, have Shabbat dinner on Friday nights at Chabad House or at Hillel, we would be at the table, carrying on the tradition of singing Zemirot, which is, Shabbat evening or Shabbat day songs that are typically sung. And, we would do these spontaneous harmonies, but all good things come to an end, and that end is called graduation. And so I was the baby of the group at the time, and I remember being a kind of a senior in college, and I talked to some of the guys on the phone, and the gist of some of these conversations were like, dude, like real life doesn't have an a cappella group. This is terrible. we gotta do something. We should put something together. Like when are you getting back down here to to the New York area where everybody who goes to Binghamton is from? And they were like, we should do like a Jewish group. And I stayed on a little bit for grad school. And I would just sit there, doing arrangements when I should have been paying attention in class. We'd come home on breaks and we would put them together and sing together. And then when I myself came back home, we kicked things into a higher gear, and we're like, hey, we learned more stuff. We started doing gigs. We found that there was a demand for it. There's actually a religiously based demand, there's a built-in market for Jewish a cappella, to keep a long story short. And, we were like, hey, why don't we put some of our money into making a CD? And it sold well, and things just kind of took off from there. That was 17 years ago, and 17 years and 8 CDs ago. So since then, we were just. I consider myself a career musician, among other things. But really we were just, we added 2 more guys. We were just 6 guys who really loved to sing and really loved, the kind of the soul that you find in connecting music to Judaism. But one thing leads to another, and you get a big promotion at work, and you start really not having the time to keep it up anymore. Maybe you have a third or a fourth kid, and life doesn't allow for regular rehearsals, or you go to med school, which is an actual thing that happened to one of our members. So eventually you gotta part ways, and we would have auditions, or it would always just be like, hey, I know this guy from a gig that I did is really great, we should have him in. And every time we would say goodbye to somebody, the silver lining of it was we would bring on somebody new who was just even better. Because at that point in the group's trajectory, we would be, that much better known. We would be gigging that much more often. We'd have, more CDs out, and it was more of an attractive proposition to join. So, the people that started replacing, the OG 613 guys were just better and better. So, what has changed is the world around us, where the content goes straight to the people now. You put out a video and you get it on YouTube, and you don't have to have a major record label behind you. You can get a few million views in a few days just because it takes off and because the people say so. And of course you can sell your music direct to the public without much help from a distributor. But internally, what has changed is that it's gone from me being like the only guy who could read music and who could arrange a tune, and just supported by 5 guys who could really sing, to me like looking around and going like, oh my God, all these guys are so good. They're like all so much better than me. I hope they let me stay. Because I've been privileged to have been joined by some of the most accomplished and talented and prowessful musicians that I've ever known. So a lot can happen in the better part of 2 decades.
Well, I mean, I hope it's not too sacrilegious to say you could probably draw some lines there, some similarities between, the history of the Jewish faith and how music has evolved, before CDs, and now you just get right to the people. You leave that control. I'm just saying, I'm not the creative paradiser that you guys are, but there might be something there. So I'm just giving you that right there. But no, the story is incredible, and how the whole thing, and you're right, as time has progressed, you all the fine gentlemen that have come through 613, they have families and stuff, and I like what you put there as far as just it takes on these different iterations. But what's something that has held strong and through has been the messaging through all the songs, whether they be the parodies or the originals, because you do both. I mean, so the parodies are great. You've done Star Wars Chanukah, you've done Queen Bohemian Chanukah, you've done, and then obviously the reason why we're talking today, West Side Story. You did a Hanukkah version of that, which just came out, which is phenomenal. Amazing talent there, and the video quality is just like, it's truly entertaining, folks. You should go to watch it. You've also done a lot of teaching on Passover. You did the sea shanty last year, which was popular on the TikTok and everything. You worked in Gilligan's Island, but also through Lion King, which, by the way, is perhaps my daughter's most favorite video that you do. It's such a unique teaching tool. I've viewed it as, I'm not Jewish, but I've learned a lot about the Jewish faith and the Jewish culture and the history. What has that been like, getting feedback from various leaders in the Jewish faith or different educators?
We stumbled into this role when things started out, when things were really taking off, and it was like, first we were doing original songs and from the liturgy and some original lyrics, and doing covers of our favorite Jewish tunes, and then eventually I think we learned to take ourselves a little bit less seriously, and like, hey, let's just things that are just a little bit just plain fun, and one thing that if you're in the record industry or even the entertainment industry, is that people like what they know. There is a reason that the top 40 is the top 40, and it's not just merit based. It's based on what the record companies are going to shove down your throat and get radio DJs to play day in and day out. If it's familiar to you, it's more comfortable to you subliminally. So the more play you get, the better you're going to do. And that's a well-known thing. So, it's one of the reasons why Weird Al Yankovic, who, just a lovable, who otherwise is just a lovable guy with an accordion,
Yes.
is a international sensation because first of all he's funny as heck, but he took like, hey, let me take songs by Michael Jackson that were everywhere. The people already know it. They don't have to. I don't have to sell them it. They can latch on to it. So I was like, hey guys, let's take a page from from Weird Al. Let's take some popular songs and put like a spin on it, make them funny, make Jewish topics out of them. It was a hard sell. I had to twist a lot of arms in the group to be like, oh no, we're not going to do that. But we eventually did it, and we were just getting asked for it in concert, just left and right. And so when it finally came time to like, hey, YouTube was coming into its own. Let's do something. Let's hire somebody, a videographer, and make stuff happen. It was really okay. This is a marketing vehicle. This is let's not make no pretense about it. This is to get us out there.
Sure.
So what's gonna get us out there? Our own original setting of Lecha Dodi, or a parodized version of a Taylor Swift song. Right. We found out the answer to that very decidedly.
Yes.
We and one of our peers, the Maccabees, who kind of came onto the scene, like 2009 or so. I had the good fortune to get hired by them to mentor them a little bit and do some of their arrangements and do some of their early production work. We kind of hit around the same time, and they had a massive hit with this song called Candlelight. Around the same time that we did like a medley of some stuff for Hanukkah, and they just took off. And you have to credit them with creating this phenomenon, like it or hate it. That's where it started, because then these guys got 3 million, 5 million. I think it's up to like today it's 10 years old, but it's got 16 million views. And so you had CBS going like, come on our show, like something that we can like a public interest piece that we could do on Hanukkah, and it's not something that's like fun and exciting. And they got a ton of coverage, and it made their careers, and they just out of nowhere were an almost full-time working Jewish a cappella group. So what did all the other Jewish a cappella groups do? They said, oh, let's just do that, and we'll also be full-time professional group. So everybody was doing it, and I think so now you kind of pick up your head from just doing it year in and year out, like 10 years later, and we've asked ourselves the question numerous times. They're like, are people over this like doing a parody version of a Hanukkah of a a secular tune? Like, are they tired of it? And we realized, like, actually I think we may have actually created an American Hanukkah tradition. Now it's like,
yes, you have. You
have to we, the Maccabees and us, you have to do things religiously. We light a menorah. It is handed down through generations. You light your candles. You say your blessings. There's giving gifts. There's having the traditional holiday foods. There's obviously telling the story is the most important part. That's what you do as a Jew. And as a Jew in America, maybe you go to Hanukkah parties, maybe you have latkes and sufganiyah, but apparently now, as a Jew in America, you expect that something's going to come out that you can share on Facebook.
As you're reciting the Torah, there you can. I know you can't edit the Torah, but perhaps a religious leader can insert there something about YouTube. Let's check the YouTube channels of 613 or the Maccabees.
Yeah. So we made our bed, but the Maccabees' early success, and then a few years later, we really didn't think it was going to be the Taylor Swift tune that was going to just catch on, but that was the one that got us. That was our first million view video, and we're like, all right, cool. And we had the same experience. When you go viral and major media outlets start picking you up, and you got 2 million views, like the calls start coming in like they never did before. Yeah. So like, all right, so clearly this is something we're going to do every Hanukkah. Yeah. It's no accident that the major releases coincide with Hanukkah and Passover and Rosh Hashanah, because while there are millions of Jews worldwide for whom Judaism is a daily way of life, that dominates their every minute of existence, praying 3 times a day, keeping kosher in everything that they eat, keeping the Sabbath every single week, celebrating holidays like Sukkot and Tisha B'Av and things that are lesser known in the mainstream media, if you will. There are millions and millions more who, if they do anything, they observe the traditions of Passover, they observe the traditions of Shabbat, and they go to synagogue on Rosh Hashanah. So,
well, Mike, I can tell you just from a different side, I could tell you that every Catholic church on Christmas Eve and on Good Friday is full. Same thing goes for the Protestants, for the Nazarenes, for the Baptists. Everybody, everybody's the same way. You always get a full house on those highlight services. So,
right.
Perhaps the fine folks in the Jewish faith are not alone in that. But it is you bring up a great point with that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there are similar parallels. The Christmas music industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry. Yet, you don't see a whole lot of like Ash Wednesday albums out there. Because
sadly, I know
that greater adoption means greater relevance and like, okay, now is our time to shine. Hanukkah really is viewed as religiously speaking is really one of the minor Jewish holidays. It just happens, I think, that its proximity to Christmas, it's just what's given rise to it as this big commercial thing. And we're happy to ride the wave. If somebody finds us on Hanukkah, and it's an inroads to them to discover the songs that we've made about Shabbat, the songs that we've made, about the great triumphs and the great tragedies of our past, then hey, let it be Hanukkah all the time.
That's incredible. I like what you say there. It's been become this pathway, this tool, this kind of the gateway to the different tenets of the Jewish faith. And you last year, throughout the whole pandemic, you wrote a song and I did a little bit of social media digging and found that it meant a lot, obviously, to the members of 613, and so many people really, it was a song about through the whole separation and everything. It was beautifully put together, and it takes a lot of talent to write originals like that. That is something incredible. And obviously you couldn't be all on the same stage or in the same room when you were doing it. You tried to do it as safe as possible, and there was distance there. That must have been tough.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like so long ago, I think probably to everybody right now, but this is April 2020. So this is like height of hysteria. Nobody knew what the heck was going on. It was everybody's world was turned upside down. And so we literally, we had a plan to actually do a medley of tunes, parody tunes by a major artist, which I'm not going to disclose because we're still going to do it someday, and we don't want to let the cat out of the bag. But we were going to do it, and it was literally, I think we had a video shoot planned for like March 17th, and it's like we have like a group chat like the morning of that shoot, and we're just like, guys, I really don't think we should be like getting together right now. And we still had no clue, but it was like that was the point where it was like, oh man, this is really something that's happening. So we were just kind of like, hey, let's scrap this for now. We don't know what the tone of the room is, and by the room I mean Earth. But we're like, maybe it's not a good time to be like, hey, here's a song about by One Direction or Justin Bieber that we changed to be about Passover. It's like, didn't seem like the time. Like, people are dying a lot. Maybe not the time for that. So over time, we kind of said maybe we're not going to do something this year. And then we said, hey, you know what? We're here at home. We're here with our families. We can write a song together over the phone, over Zoom. And then, our fantastic video producer can cobble together stuff that we take with our iPhone set to high quality, and put little boxes together. It came together, and it wasn't the kind of thing that was like people were going to send around and be like, oh, this is so fun. But it was the right thing to do at the moment. and I think that it really reflected the fact that, everybody's lives were getting turned upside down, but we as Jews and musicians were dealing with this double whammy of like getting hit particularly hard because the Jewish community, so much of it is reliant on actual physical togetherness. There are a lot of times, mainly Shabbat, but also Yom Tov, days of Rosh Hashanah, the first two and last 2 days of Passover, where it's, you are not supposed to do any work, and that goes right down to the use of electricity and communications devices. So, but what we're doing is we're getting together at synagogue, or we're getting together at a communal meal, and that's what we're doing. And we weren't even able to do that. We weren't able to actually, have Jewish observance. There was a whole just mess of communications, within the, religious and rabbinate community about like, okay, how do we deal with that? And they weren't able to do that. And then of course, when we pray, we are supposed to be praying with a group of 10 men. It's called a minyan, and it's basically a quorum of sorts. And you need a minyan to say Kaddish, which is a tradition when you're observing the anniversary of the death of a loved one, or you're in mourning for a loved one. And it's, we view it as very important to be there for each other so that you can have a minyan to say Kaddish. And people couldn't do that. And then on top of that, here we are, musicians, and everything we do, with the exception of putting out music, is dependent on the ability of an audience to gather for it. So we're like, wow. So our profession right now is non-existent. A lot of us had day jobs, but a lot of us didn't. So as Jews and as musicians, it was like, all right, this is quite unprecedented, and we are petrified. And a lot of that is represented in the lyrics, which I didn't think I was even going to be able to approach. But I sat down with them for a while, and they really kind of flowed out. Thinking back to that, I can't tell you how fortunate it feels in that context to be back doing this kind of stuff. Yeah. Where we're like, like crazy, cool, go, and like, okay, we could be silly again. People are still getting sick, and people still hate each other because one person feels this is how you should act when you're sick, and this is how the other half of the world feels you should act when you get sick, and we're all going to kill each other. But hey, at least we figured out how to be in the same room. We're having shows with people in the audience, and it's just it's the kind of thing that kind of makes you pretty sure that you will never take that for granted again.
Absolutely. And I like, by the way, in the sea shanty song there about Passover, my wife instantly picked up on the eye patch correlation there, which was just fantastic. I caught it like 10 minutes. I'm like, hey, look at that. She goes, oh, you didn't see that right away? I'm like, no, your husband's kind of slow.
It's a testament to the guys in the group. They're as fun as they look. I count them among my best friends. But just like that was another one that we did where it was like, all right, we're not getting together to do this. We're going to do it, box style, sure, where we're all going to shoot our own footage. And it was like, dress up like a pirate, do what you can. And, me saying there like, honey, do we have an eye patch? Like, no, why would we have an eye patch? So I was like, just do what you can. And so like, the footage comes in, and, they're uploading it to Google Drive, and I'm downloading it to send to our producer, and like watching it, and just like the belly laughs, where it's like, oh my God, he's using a mask as an eye patch. And then, but just like, I absolutely lost it when I saw Jacob Spadaro with a spaghetti strainer instead of a hook for a hand. And I was like, oh, come on.
You gotta do what you gotta do. These are the trying times there. No, there's a lot of creativity, which is one thing I wanted to ask you, if you could dispel the rumor. Craig Remsmovitz, did I say his name right?
Resmovitz, yes.
Resmovitz. Can you dispel the vicious rumor that he is somehow distantly related to Josh Gad?
I don't believe that is the case. Um, it's anything's possible, but I think
Because
by
I
now
mean,
we would probably know.
the vocal
If he's holding
tenor,
out on
like
that connection, I'm gonna have a talk with him. But
it's
I don't believe so.
it's just I see a little bit of Olaf. I hear a little bit of that, in the vocal tenor and everything. But and the fact that in his bio it says, I believe, the audiences rarely forget him, or there's something indicating just his unique personality. He's actually a very accomplished musician, vocalist, singer, piano player. He does well. All of the musicians, all the vocalists in 613 are. And folks, if you go online to their website, you can read the bios about them. They'll actually be coming right now. It's planned that you're going to be coming to Providence, Rhode Island in the springtime, spring 2022. Which I'm hoping is an evening performance, because I also have a Worcester Red Sox baseball game that day. So if we could talk to the Temple and maybe get it kind of on the later side so I can make it in time, but you do your thing there. But the touring is coming back. You are doing some stuff, but it's really something special what you've created, and just all these different groups. I'll ask you a couple quick funny questions as we kind of head on out here. What's the craziest or most unique reaction, positive reaction that you've ever gotten regarding your music from anybody? What's the kind of the most, anything you've encountered that people have been just like, whoa, or something that really sticks out to you?
I mean, that's pretty easy. I mean, that was at the White House.
I want to give it up for our outstanding musical guest, 613, who just did a amazing performance for Michelle and I of a Hamilton remix.
It's good.
If you ever have a chance to get the mixtape, you should buy it.
We had seen that dating back to the early days of the Bush presidency, there was a Hanukkah party at the White House. That was something that actually, George W. Bush started. And I guess maybe because they felt it was like less mess and less equipment to have to set up, it was always like an a cappella group or a choir that was entertaining. And we were like, we got to get that. We pined after it for a while, and we finally, as if by divine providence, kind of cracked that nut in 2016. We got an email from the Jewish liaison at the White House who said, like, would you guys like to perform at the White House Hanukkah party this year? And I was like, let me see if we're busy that day. Yeah, sure.
Surprised it took so long.
The December that we got the gig at the White House happened to be the year that we had already decided we were going to do the Hamilton Hanukkah medley. And it's no secret that Barack and Michelle Obama are Hamilton fanatics. So we're like, oh man, this is too perfect. And what they tell you is, you're going to perform for quite a while. And we're not guaranteeing you this, but you may get to meet and perform for the president. And as you get closer, they inform you that, okay, schedule permitting, you will have 45 seconds to perform for the president.
Right.
So we're like, all right, guys, we need to take this 4.5-minute medley and make it 45 seconds. And we worked on it, we put it together. So, the day comes and you have this intern ushering you around the White, it's an intern who elsewhere would be a CEO, obviously. And they said, all right, so the president's schedule permits, he is going to, in between his remarks and the this and the that, he's going to come in and see you. And this is how it works. You shake his hand, you form a line to the left, you spin to the right, and, all kinds of, and they said, okay, do me a favor. We would like to see what you're going to perform for him. Remember, you have 45 seconds. So I said, all right. And so we do it, and we perform it, and we finish it up, and then we look over at the intern, and she goes, all right, that was good, but it was a 48 seconds. So you're gonna need to. Can we shave a little bit off of that? And I'm like, all right, guys. Let's do it about 10 clicks faster. Here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. So, I'm like, they are that meticulous. But the payoff really is you get to get in that room, this little rotunda type room, this big giant painting of George Washington, and he comes in, shakes everybody's hand, turns around, you get your photo op, in front of George, and And he says, "Hey, how about a little something for us, guys?" And we go like, "Oh, sure. We don't have anything planned per se, but here, and so we count off and we start doing, break into, "I am not throwing guilt in the pot," which, in retrospect, is one of our worst lyrics of all time. But them if you know anything from Hamilton, it's either the slow jam Alexander Hamilton, or it's not throwing away my shot. So they recognized it immediately. So you have the president of the United States, arguably one of the coolest presidents of the United States. So then they go over and they're like, "All right, okay, all right, this is cool." And Michelle's bobbing her head over there, and so you're like, the president of the United States of America is jamming out to us right now. So if you're gonna get a positive reaction from someone, how about like the leader of the free world? That's gotta clinch it.
Can't ask for more than that.
Yeah. Now, the thing is that at the White House, you don't exactly move freely between rooms unless you have a certain, security clearance, or you're just, they know you're cool. So as we're, finishing up the song, I kind of look out of the corner of my eye, and one of these, they've got all these doors that aren't doors, and you didn't know there was a door there until it opens up. You're like, "Oh, look at that." And through one of these secret doors, we look over, and there is an older gentleman and a Latina woman and the tiniest woman I've ever seen in my life. And they're going like, "Oh, this is great." And so it's Justices Breyer, Sotomayor, and Ginsburg. They just happen to pop in. It's like, "Hey, let's see what Barack and Michelle are doing in here." And
Sure.
I'm like trying to figure out like, who is it? I'm not exactly a huge government buff, but like it took me a minute, but I'm like, this is about a third of the Supreme Court right there. And Sotomayor says like, "She loves this stuff." So I'm just sitting there going like, what is happening right now?
All you needed was the Senate president or the Speaker of the House to make that way. You had all three branches of the government at your disposal right there.
Yeah.
Listening.
I think Schumer was there. I think he was there.
I was going to say, listening to your self-admitted worst lyrics that you guys have put together. No, guys, you want to stop and say, no. We got great, even better stuff. Hold on, take a seat. I mean, discuss this legislation later. Worry about the war later. Let's talk about this. This is, Mike, this is incredible. And, I appreciate so much the time you've taken to share this stuff. Folks, you've got to, if you've loved this, if you've loved the background, you got to go online and follow them. They're on all the major social media platforms. And of course, their new West Side Chanukah Story, which is truly amazing. And of course, that was sponsored by the Manhattan Jewish Experience, the MJE, and that is an organization right there, which is pretty impressive. You actually did some filming with them for the story, which was great. And they're a wonderful organization. You've done a lot of charitable, nonprofit Jewish tie-ins for your music, so you're like going the extra mile to take just to bring people along for the ride with you, which is very commendable. I'm gonna let you go there because I know it's been busy for you. Thank you so much. Any other information you want to pass along before we let you go?
If you're looking to find out more about us, there's always 613.com. And the unfortunate branding of our name means that a lot of people don't know that it is SIX13. Right. We spell with numbers. We're that innovative. So you can check that out, and we're always happy for you to check out our stuff online on YouTube. And nothing means more to us getting to spread the good word, to borrow from another faith, than sharing our stuff. We always appreciate that. So.
Hey, you know what? Between all the different faiths, majority of them, the universal message is be kind to one another. That's a major thing. So I wish you and your family a wonderful, happy Hanukkah season, and then the rest of as the as our traditional calendar here starts to roll out, because you had your the New Year at the beginning of September for the Jewish New Year, which caused some controversy here in Rhode Island because some school departments didn't realize it. But that's okay. Everybody was okay in the end. They all figured it out.
In New York City, that will never happen.
Yeah, well,
there's too many of us here.
The 401, Rhode Island, Southern New England is a little different, so we're figuring it out. We're cute, but we're figuring it out. So, sir, you have a wonderful holiday season. Folks, go check them out, 613, on all the major socials, and, of course, 613.com.
Thanks so much for having me.